You know what? I'm using 6 months.
Wow.
That makes it sound more dramatic. It's been 6 months since the Super Bowl.
Look how you say.
6 months, Goo. 6 months. The 49ers knew 2 days after the Super Bowl that McCaffrey, Trent Williams, and Aiyuk needed to be dealt with. Why do you think 6 months later, the only guy they've taken care of is McCaffrey? Let me throw this one at you, because I got some really, but I'm throwing it out to our listeners, obviously, at 888-957-9570. 415 in the Xfinity Mobile text line. Because they know they have to get rid of someone next year. So at this point, they're trying to deal with it a year early.
I don't buy that.
I
was under the impression, and it won't be the first time I'm wrong, that Debo could have been a possibility after they signed Aiyuk and traded Debo this next offseason. I never in a million years thought the disease of me would kick in right now. And you know what? I got to be careful here. When you say they've taken care of McCaffrey, people are right. But, Steiny, I believe Trent is not a big deal. The more I think about it, they got to be hooking the big fella up with just R&R. We'll take care of you right before the season starts. There's no football expert or aficionado that could explain why the Niners would be tricking around with Trent. But Aiyuk, Steiny, I don't think they had him trying to bring the house down. I don't think they are fond of life without Aiyuk, and that's why we're dealing with what you call this.
Maybe they thought around draft night they were going to be able to trade Aiyuk or Debo Samuel, because that was out there. That was out there. We all know they were going to have to deal with this in a year. Maybe they were thinking about dealing with it on draft night, and they didn't like any of their deals for either Aiyuk at the time or Debo at the time. But they knew they were going to have trouble with Aiyuk, and so they said, let's get some insurance in here with Pearsall. And sure enough, now Aiyuk has become a problem.
Wow.
Where Trent Williams fits in, I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. But he's so important
right after. He's the guy that opens the holes. We had Baldy on with Joe and Bonte earlier this week. Steiny, we all know his worth, and he's protecting Brock Purdy. So I have to believe maybe the big fella at 36 is just getting an extended vacation, and there's nothing to see here with this money. But when you just I don't know why McCaffrey, and I get it, Steiny, it's nothing against McCaffrey, why that was so easy, but these two from afar seem difficult.
Well, I would say maybe that's one of the reasons McCaffrey has been taken care of, but the other two haven't, is that it was probably easier with McCaffrey.
Right.
And it probably impacted the salary cap or the salary structure less than those other two guys. And maybe McCaffrey wasn't asking for what the other two guys are asking for in terms of, how close or how far they are from what they really want. Maybe they figured, you know what, McCaffrey only wants a little bit more, we'll give it to him. Trent wants a lot more, and Aiyuk wants a lot more. We'll figure those out. I don't know. I'm asking why 6 months after the Niners knew all this, are we still here? And again, the one guy we don't know anything about is Trent Williams. And to me, with him, I get it. I know how important he is, but to me, I do think it's interesting. If he's so damn important, well, why hasn't he been signed?
That's a $1 million question.
Because he doesn't need to come to training camp. All right. So each day that goes on, though, with Trent Williams, I wonder more and more about whether the Niners are essentially doing the same thing with with Williams as Aiyuk.
And that's called hardball. That's what you called it the other day.
Exactly. Let's go to Jack. Jack's in San Francisco. What's up, Jack? How you doing, man?
Okay, how you doing?
Doing well.
I think they had the Aiyuk deal done, and then the market just blew up for wide receivers. I think they had that thing just about done, and then Aiyuk sort of pulled the deal off the table. And so I think they got sort of wrong-footed on that. And on Williams, I guess the issue with Williams is if he wants more for this year, I would definitely pay him more for this year. If he wants some sort of a 4-year, 5-year contract at 36 years old, that I think becomes an issue. So, but like you say, nobody really has any insight on what's going on with Williams. So that's all speculation.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate the call. I think that's a possibility. I don't think we're ever going to nail it down, but I do think that's a possibility that the Niners were close with Aiyuk and then those other guys got money.
But how do you come to a resolution? It still doesn't, because nobody, if Brandon Aiyuk is traded, Steiny, I feel like nobody won. And the Niners don't want him to leave. He didn't want to leave. But if it comes to that, I guess I'm saying miss me with the market blew up and it stopped on Brandon. The bottom line is the fallout is Purdy's going to have one less polished weapon on the outside to work with. And was it really worth it?
Well, what if the caller's right and they thought they had Aiyuk locked up for 25, 26. Yeah. Those guys got paid. They said, all right, let's get this done. And Brandon said, no, things have changed. What do you mean things have changed? Well, now I want 29 because those other guys got 28 and 29.
Yeah, well, TJ Husmanzada said, Steiny, it sounds like 28 would get it done. And if they offered 26,
but what if he agreed to 26 3 months ago and he changed his mind?
I can't say you're wrong right now. Something had to pop off.
I think the other thing here that we're missing is I don't think it's about average salary per year.
Which guarantee?
No, because I do think if you say, why don't they just give him 28 and a half instead of 26?
And the guaranteed money.
I admit, that's not a big deal. But if the guaranteed money, I was looking at some of these guarantees that these receivers have gotten. It's at least 30 for most of them, sometimes more.
Man.
So maybe the guarantee's 10 and he wants 20. Though then that is a big difference. And all I'm wondering is if Trent Williams is so important, like what if we find out that there isn't nothing to see here with Trent Williams?
I would be shocked.
That they're willing to play this out up into the 49ers are saying we got to call his bluff, Trent Williams. He's making $22 million. Is he really not going to show up? Like, isn't that the first thing you got to do if you're the Niners? And then if he doesn't show up, you start to miss him, then go sign him. Then go give him the raise.
Man, with not being in pads all off season. Like, the more you just talk about those descriptions of what possibly could happen, I'm like, I see the Rams winning the West. I see Seattle. Like, I guess from a football component, none of this is good for the greater good of the team. Brock Purdy either.
Well, just to play devil's advocate, you say nothing, none of this is good for the team, but clearly the 49ers think it's good for their long-term balance sheet. Their long-term balance sheet.
Man.
I don't know.
I thought Trent Williams had all the leverage in the world.
And he might.
Again, yeah, but right now it doesn't look like it.
Or maybe the years it is with Aiyuk. Maybe it's the years. Maybe they only want to give him 3. He wants 5. They don't want to give him 4. He wants 5. I don't know. The question I have the Niner fans, though, is why was McCaffrey taken care of and the other 2 haven't been taken care of?
Man.
Gary's in San Ramon. Hey, Gary, how you doing, man?
Not bad, thanks. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Hey, I believe McCaffrey, it was easier to do McCaffrey because he is the market. If I'm not mistaken, he's the highest paid running back.
Mm-hmm.
So he is the market. So all they had to do is just juice him up a little more. And he has nothing to compare it to because he's the highest running back compared to the left tackle and the Aiyuk. These guys think they're better than a lot of these players. So they're going to want to make more money. That's just how I see it.
So, well, by that thinking, Gary, shouldn't Trent Williams be pretty easy to deal with? Because,
I would think so. I would think so. He sees the guy in Tampa Bay getting a lot more money than him. But at the same time, the 49ers see that he's 36.
Yeah.
How good is he going to be in 2 years? So I get the stalemate there.
Gotcha.
But Aiyuk, you got to pay him. I'm not a 49ers fan, but I believe you do got to pay him to keep him, though.
Good stuff, Gary.
Yeah, and what's funny about all this, Steiny, is when you look at it from that vantage point, okay, Brandon Aiyuk, if people want to say or label him unproven, I totally get that. But then on the flip side, Trent Williams is proven. He's as valuable as Wirfs or any other. Like, that's the part of this that's like, it doesn't add up. The Trent Williams portfolio is a guy at the top of his position, Steiny. So what's the holdup there, you think?
The holdup there is that the 49ers don't want to deal with him right now. I'm trying to be careful because I'm not, like, I don't know what's going on with Trent Williams.
Or they're hooking the big fella up.
I think it's...
They'll get it done, and you just rest, chill, and we'll be back, and we trust you because you know how to do this.
See, that to me is too easy. Like, that's...
But nothing else makes sense unless you're right about they're going to play hardball.
There's a lot of stuff.
I believe their second best player. Our most important player right now.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think the idea that Trent Williams wants more money, they're going to give him whatever he wants, and they know that he doesn't have to be involved in training camp, and if they sign him a week before, they sign him a week before. Yeah. If they sign him 3 days before, they sign him 3 days before. If they sign him on Friday, they sign him on Friday. I just don't think – I think if it were that easy, he'd be in here. Like, if they had a choice about Trent Williams, they had a choice. They'd want him in camp. Even if he's not practicing, they'd want him here. But they haven't even done the bare minimum of something that's supposed to be a formality to get him in here. That I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I got info. I don't. Cut that, by the way.
Yeah, I am just
saying. I get he doesn't have to be here. But why wouldn't you want him here if it's simple, get him here.
Yeah. And rest in peace to the great Bill Walsh, Donnie, but you don't have to be him to know the importance of Trent Williams. But when you talk about his position, his weight, all that stuff, I totally get, hey, let the big fella just chillax. And when he gets here, he gets here. So I got to believe and operate, Donnie. I'm focused on Aiyuk like we all are. We're all fatigued. I don't want him to leave the Niners. But I can't throw Trent Williams in the furnace with Aiyuk because there's no perspective or anybody walking this great earth that can tell you what the Niners are doing from a football standpoint. They can't see his value. It doesn't make sense. So it's got to be wink, wink. Steiny will take care of you. Show up that Monday before the Monday night game. You know what I mean? There's no football or sports element or ingredient that is efficient enough to make us be like, the Niners are really thinking they might can. There's no plan B with Trent. Not on this roster. When you got Super Bowl aspirations to get back.
510 Xfinity Mobile text line, and I think this is something we've glossed over. And I've heard everybody say, oh, they'll just take care of that later. It's not as simple as resting Trent Williams. He's getting fined every time he misses practice, and those fines can't be waived. He's also given up $1.1 million because he wasn't in Tennessee. He wasn't there for the Tennessee game. The contract says for guys like Williams who signed as free agents 3 years ago, they can't waive those fines. They don't. They can't. Not according to the collective bargaining agreement.
But I got to believe you could finagle the numbers when you do come to something to where, we were going to give you the 24-5.
Fine.
We'll give you 30.
So how's that? Why wouldn't the Niners they just do that then? Like, why would the 49ers let Trent Williams accumulate fines that they know they're going to have to make up for in the back end? Like,
I'm in denial.
That doesn't make any sense either to me.
I understand that thought problem, that mindset, but I'm in denial to where, Steiny, what else could it be?
What it could be is the 49ers, as great as Trent Williams is, are saying 3 years ago you signed a contract to be the highest paid lineman in football. You're still the 6th highest paid lineman in football. You're 36 years old. You're scheduled to make $22 million this year. We would like you to come and play on $22 million. That's what I think's going on. I'm not coming in for 22. All right. Well, we want you to. We'll talk to you next week.
And Trent hasn't even said a peep, as opposed to Brandon Aiyuk going on the Martin Luther King tour talking. I'm not mad at him.
This ain't his first rodeo, Trent Williams.
He's just quiet as a church mouse. But I do wonder if this is bigger than anybody thought.
Greg in Oakland. Hey, Greg, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good. I just wanted to bring up, this is a hard cap game, football, and it was going to come. We have too many players, well-known, top in their position, top 10. That's debatable. We have too many, and it's going to come. So I guess the question comes, who would we rather see walk? Would it be Trent, or would it be someone whose contract year is up next year, or they're in their final year in 2 years? We're stuck at a hard cap, and we have so many talent. Somebody eventually has to walk. We can't have all of these players.
I mean, I think that's what they're coming up against.
And I thought we were going to deal with that, or they were going to deal with that next year, Steiny. I thought Brandon would they need Brandon this year, where everybody knows the importance, sign him to a deal, and then you would have the possibility maybe to dangle Debo or whatnot. I mean, a lot of us thought that that's which way they were going. We never thought Aiyuk would come to an impasse to where he wouldn't get his chips.
Maybe we didn't think that way, but there's no way the Niners didn't think that was a possibility.
And the Ricky Pearsall on line one.
Here's the other thing. Again, I get Trent Williams. I get it. Oh, he's the greatest of all time. He's just invaluable. I get it. But let me ask you this. 2 guys are holding out right now. Let's just say 2 guys aren't playing. One is a 36-year-old guy. The other is a player entering his prime. I think it's within the realm of possibility that Aiyuk is a higher priority than Trent Williams, because if they come to terms with Brandon Aiyuk, they've got a great wide receiver in their fold for the next 5 years. Trent Williams, he's not even going to be here in 5 years. So, yeah, I get it. He's important now, but Aiyuk is more important to the future of the 49ers. The future.
Well, you're talking
Maybe
about
that's
two
one thing
All-Pros,
they think. Yeah.
And Steiny, I'll just say this, and you know me, to hell with the future. It's about this year. It's about next year. And what I do know is Trent Williams could be a big part, and they expect him to be a big part of those seasons. So right then and there, I'm thinking, why is Trent not piggybacking off of McCaffrey? Why is this not that easy? But the fear, if I'm a Niner fan, is, boy, if they're doing what you're alluding to, maybe like, hey, dude, you're under contract. Come get this 22, and you play the Packers, and he's Chris Jones last year, the Chiefs sitting in the stands. Like, I would never in a million years thought that would have been the scenario.
From the 925 on the Xfinity mobile text line, the holdup is he's under contract and shouldn't be demanding more. I don't get why it's okay to sign a contract, then decide you're worth more before the contract is up.
Well, welcome to the world of pro sports.
Well,
these greedy dudes do it all the time.
Well,
and gals.
Some guys do it.
Yeah. And some get away with it because they're good enough to do it.
925. Trent's 36 and 1 injury away from being done.
Well, he's an all-pro.
925. He's not worth the extra money.
So
that's the other thing.
Not having them, though, changes your outlook for this season.
Maybe it's the fact that Trent Williams hasn't played a full season in 7 years. That may make the 49ers hesitant to give him a lot of guaranteed money. Makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
Man.
So, again, the question I'm asking is, for 6 months, the Niners knew this might be a possibility, and they're still here. I don't think they're dumb. They may have miscalculated a little, but I don't think they're dumb. And so you tell me why nothing's gotten done with 2 of the 3 guys. Danny's in Pittsburgh. What's going on in Pittsburgh, Danny? You want this guy?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
You want this guy? You want Aiyuk?
Okay, so this is the thing, right? So everybody got to revert back to after the Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
Where his wife went on a rant and his brother went on a rant saying, "Oh, last season in the 49ers." I think the main draw with you guys was that Ricky Pearsall, right? Because are they getting rid of Debo? Was they getting rid of Aiyuk? I mean, it was just an up and down thing. So my surveillance for being a Steeler fan. Do we want them? Do we need them? Of course. But also at the same point, we have a dilemma here. Because if you pay Brandon Aiyuk all this money, how's George Pickens going to feel?
Mm-hmm.
Because but in y'all case, I don't know who you pay, Trent Williams or Brandon Aiyuk, because it's like Brandon, of course, I guess, don't want to play for you guys. I don't know what it is, because if you look on his TikTok right now, it says PS1. I don't know what that means.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no.
If you look at his what, Steiny?
PS1.
His TikTok?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can definitively answer if Brandon Aiyuk wants to be here or not. I know what he said, but...
Well, I tell you what, he didn't want to leave if it were going to New England.
We'll see about Pittsburgh.
Yeah, or Cleveland.
See, this is interesting. The 202.
I'm ready to go.
Aiyuk is more of a priority than Williams.
Prove it.
You can replace a premium young stud wide receiver over an aging left tackle.
An aging left tackle that's all pro. That's what people are forgetting. I mean, the Niners have won. I'm perplexed, and the whole Aiyuk thing has me. I'm ready to jump off a bridge because I want the baby here. But when you throw in Trent Williams on top of this, and the fact that you started this conversation with Goo, they knew back in March. It is rather confusing or baffling as to what the Niners are going to do and what you call this. Because I know you got to say, Goo, is this par for the course? They knew it. I just know two big parts of your team are not in camp.